Okay, so let's move on to figures. Figures are a graphic illustration beyond a table. They're used to summarize data from a frequency distribution. So some popular ones are like a pie chart, a bar graph, a histogram, and a line graph. And we'll go over these a little bit more. In general, some tips for when you're creating or using figures. Overall, you'll want to have one idea per figure. So you don't want to try to cram two or more ideas into a figure. It just jumbles it and it usually makes it harder to understand for the reader. Again, you'll want to keep them numbered consecutively, just like you are with the tables. You want to give titles that convey the content, the date collected, and the sample size. So again, similar to the tables. You want to use a consistent font style and size across the figures throughout your report. And you're going to insert them directly in the report immediately following when they were first mentioned. So again, like the tables, they're here to complement data and information and descriptions, not to replace them. Let's look at a pie graph. Use pie graphs with nominal level data. And pie graph is basically a circle divided into sections representing relative proportions. It's important to remember you want to have less than 5 sections. If you go over that, you either need to collapse data or you're just going to lose the reader or whoever's looking at your pie graph. You want to have sections arranged in descending order. You want to have sections contrasted with shading color or pattern so they're easy to depict apart from each other. You'll want to report whole percentages inside the sections whenever possible. And you'll want to label the sections and the title of the graph. Again, these are good tips to create optimal pie graphs that are going to really convey your point. So let's take a look at a very simplistic pie graph. Here we have students who believe the university's weight room equipment is generally kept clean. And so we've got the figure number, the title, the date, and the sample size. And if you look down below, we've got 3 sections, so we're staying within that rule. Each area of the pie chart is easily depicted from the other. So it does, the one area where 12% is doesn't look similar to the 38% or the 50% area. The percentages are in whole numbers inside the pie graph, easily noted. And we've got the chart or the key to the right so we understand what each section represents. Then we'll move on to a bar graph, and you use this with nominal or ordinal level data. And remember, bar graph is the non-touching columns showing different response categories. We can use a vertical or y-axis to represent lower to higher frequencies. And then we'll use a horizontal or x-axis to represent the categories. You'll want no more than 6 bars on your bar graph. Again, you want to keep it where it's not getting jumbled and people can easily understand your bar graph. You want your bars to be the same width, and the height of the graph is 2/3 to 3/4 the length of its width. So you want to look at a very good proportion overall. You don't want to get one that's too incredibly wide or too incredibly tall. You'll want to adjust from there to make it look optimal. Next, we'll look at histograms. This is what you use with interval or ratio data. It's a bar graph with touching columns. The horizontal axis represents a variable with scores and values. The vertical axis is arranged from higher to lower frequencies or counts. The bars are the same width and they often touch each other. And the height of the graph is 2/3 to 3/4 the length. Okay, on to a line graph, and this is used with interval or ratio data as well. It's a continual line that connects data points over time. So the horizontal axis reports a dependent variable category. The vertical axis reports higher to lower frequencies, so the numbers. You want to have at least 3 data points. It's often you want to have much more than that. So this is when you really need to have a lot of different data over, several different data points is when you use this. The height of the graph is 2/3 to 3/4 the length of the graph.